So I'm putting together this video because we were using a program called Glide for a while for filling out the transfer disclosure statement, the seller property questionnaire, and it was an easy way of having sellers do that. However, Glide has recently been purchased by Compass, a real estate company. And as a result of that, first of all, the California Association of Realtors severed their relationship with Glide, so it's no longer a CAR member benefit. And the reason is if you're a listing agent, do you really want a competitor to have copies of your forms? Would you like them to know how many listings you have and where they are and the status of them? It's just kind of creepy. Right. So the question is, what do we do if we don't have Glide? Right. Glide is gone. Oh my gosh, I have a listing. I need the seller to fill out forms. Now, there's two kinds of forms that you're likely to have a seller fill out. The easy ones are all of the forms where the seller really doesn't even have to think, right? Because most of the forms the seller is going to fill out or sign, let's just say, not fill out, to sign an initial are advisories to the buyer. Market conditions advisory, wire fraud advisory, statewide buyer and seller advisory, local disclosures, that sort of thing. There are, on the other hand, certain forms where the seller has to answer questions. The transfer disclosure statement, the seller property questionnaire, and if it applies, there's an earthquake hazard booklet, and maybe even FERPTA, the form about foreign investment in real estate, which is asking people to answer questions. That one not as much as the others. So what I wanted to do today is show you how to get the seller to easily fill out the forms. And maybe I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. We can't fill out the TDS for the seller and have them sign it. We have to send it to them and they have to check the different boxes and fill it out themselves. Right? That's the idea. Right? So how would you do that? I've created a transaction called how to complete the TDS, SPQ, etc. Now I've added a bunch of forms. All right, let's just take a look at them. And the ones, there's more than we need. One of them is called the Disclosure Information Advisory. Right. And the reason that I've added that form is this is a form which is not loading right now, but this is a form that basically explains what the process is for the seller. I've added that form. I've added the earthquake hazards report, which is number 5 of 6. In order to get that, you have to go to what's called EPUBs, which is if we are going to here, let me just see if I can get it to get back to where it's letting me add forms. All right. So where would we find the earthquake hazard form? Well, what we have to do is we go into our form library and we have to select the drop down and we have to go down to EPUBs. And in EPUBs, we're not going to be using this one, but it's number 5. Now, all of these are things that there's a signature page. That's 6 of 6. But there's nothing for the seller to really answer other than signing. 5 of 6 earthquake hazard report requires the seller to think about it, right? So that one report with the earthquake guide is under EPUBs. The rest of them are in the California Association of Realtors library, right? So it's another class, knowing which forms you need and how to, it's a different class. So let's say we're going to get them signed, right? We're going to go over here to e-sign. And we're going to create a new e-sign. And what we want is for them to sign, I'll do it as we go along. The seller property questionnaire, we're going to want them to sign that, fill it out and sign it. The transfer disclosure statement. And we also want to include this advisory and 5, where is it here? 5 of 6, the earthquake hazards report, right? And then when I do this, I would probably put the advisory, let me move me over here, the advisory first, the TDS second. This is just my preference. It doesn't have to be done this way. Earthquake at the end, seller property questionnaire. Now, the earthquake hazards report, is a requirement if the property is a wood frame residence built before January 1st, 1960, or a masonry building built before January 1st, 1975. But you guys probably already knew that. Many real estate companies just say, get the seller to fill it out anyhow, because, that way you don't have to look at dates when the property was built and whether or not it's a requirement, right? So we're just going to go with that. It may not be required depending upon when the property was built, but we're just going to assume for purposes of this, it is. We're going to click on next. So here's our seller. Now notice Ms. Perman is seller number 1. That's important, because whoever is seller number 1, let's say there's 2 sellers or 3 sellers, whoever is listed as seller number 1 is the one who is tasked with filling out the TDS, the SPQ, and the other forms. Now, the other person could be there helping, but I'm just saying that's the one that the email is going to go to that has that link. So Ms. Perman is going to get it, and I'm going to get it. And at this point, that's all who's going to get it, right? Just the seller 1. Now, again, if there's another seller, they would be signing after seller 1 filled out the form. Eventually, it's going to come to me, right? And I would like to always do it so that I'm last in the queue, and then I get when everything is filled out. And by the way, just so you know, if there's 2 sellers, they don't both get the same thing at one time. It goes to seller number 1 first and seller number 2, whatever, right? But we're only seller number 1 gets to fill it out. We're going to click on next, and we're watching it spin around, and then AuthentiSign loads. Now we're going to just, if you scroll down, right, just to check it out, you'll notice we can't check any of these boxes. Now, the one that becomes problematic is the first one in the TDS, this part over here, because they may not know what to do with those checks. It's another class, but you're going to be picking no substituted disclosures. Virtually all the time that I have a seller filling out the form, they're on the phone with me, or on a Zoom call or something, they're asking me questions about what's this mean, but I'm just saying we can't do this because it's something the seller is supposed to sign and fill out, not with our help. So we're just going to click on next. We're going to send the invitations. All right, so it's out, it's going. Right. Let's see what happens when it comes in. All right. Now, here is an example of what it's going to look like, right, when it comes in. And we click on Start Signing, right, and it opens up. And this is a little bit different from, it didn't start with the disclosure, but the reason I included that first disclosure document. Here, let me just see if the real one is here yet, so I can show you rather from one of the ones I've just practiced on. How long is it going to take? Come on. There we go. So this is what the client's going to get. Hi, Sue. Start signing. Now, the first document in the package, in that order, the first document is a document that is essentially a discussion, and we're going to just accept. It's a discussion of disclosure information, right, and how to prepare and how to complete it, and it explains the different sections of the TDS and the SPQ and things like that. Now, as we scroll down, notice that Sue gets to fill out these forms. So she would be picking, there's no substituted disclosures. By the way, that's the correct answer, right? You may think you have, but I don't think you really do. And don't pick the other boxes, right? If you've got a problem with that, call me. Don't pick the other boxes. Pick that one. Now, we're telling the seller what to do because they probably don't know either. They go through, they can pick things, right? They can type in stuff. If there's more stuff than is going to fit, it goes into what's called a text overflow addendum. All right, they get to answer questions, sign, keep going. Here's the seller property questionnaire. And again, you see they can check, they can fill it out. We keep going. Here's the earthquake hazard booklet. They can answer the questions. Don't know. What's a cripple wall? No idea. I'm just going to say, I don't know. Does everybody understand where I'm going? And then once they're done, they can click on next, go through, sign it, and then it'll come to me because I've listed myself as the agent, and it'll be filled out by the seller. Now, you also need to counsel your client in that it says in the residential purchase agreement that the SPQ and the TDS are not complete unless all the questions have been answered. So you want to make sure they've answered all of the questions in the TDS and the SPQ. You might have to help them with that. And when they're done, they next. It'll be signed. It'll be sent to you. You sign it. You save a copy. Now you have the TDS and the SPQ to use in your disclosure package. Anyhow, hope that helps. It's easy to do even without Glide. And now the evil people aren't going to be looking at our transactions, right? Anyhow, thanks a lot. Have a great day, everybody.